We tend to have that instinct to run, the red flags, all that kind of stuff happens so often. And there could be a really good person behind there, but because of your past fears or history of whatever's happening, you're ready to run. You've got your running shoes on and you're just ready to run. So it's really not something that particular person did, male or female. You're just ready to run.
This is the Global Travel Channel podcast show, and I am your host, Mark Philpott. Welcome to the show. If you're a regular listener, always great to have you with us. But if you're also a newbie, it's great to have you here for the first time. Don't forget to be able to check out all of our previous episodes by going to www.globaltravelchannel.com. You can also download our episodes at places like Apple iTunes under the podcast section, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and a host of other locations that are all there on our website. Now, on the show, I talk to people all across the world about their amazing travel experiences, and today's show is no exception. Today on the show, we're going to combine travel with love. Yes, we're going to talk about long-distance relationships like you've never heard before. So if you've had a long-distance relationship and it maybe didn't work out, this one's for you. And if you have had a long-distance relationship and it did work out, well done. I applaud you. But today we're going to hear a miraculous story from a lady who's been on my show before. And she was on my show before a lot of this happened. So today we're going to get a recap on how a long-distance relationship happened very quickly and worked out for the better. So Laura, welcome back to the Global Travel Channel podcast show.
Well, thank you for having me, Mark.
I'm really, really excited. Like I get pumped up for all my shows, and I've got to say there's something special talking to you because I don't think there's any greater subject in the world than talking about love and travel, yeah?
I agree. Those are two of my favorite things in life.
And I think when you combine the two, there's so much to talk about from a positive and from learnings. And I've actually nicknamed you after the last show. I call you now the online dating queen. Yeah.
I think... okay. I'll take that. I'll take it.
That's a really fantastic label for you. If we were to label you, I'm not too big onto labels, but I just think it's a fun thing to have anyway.
I like it. If I've got to have a nickname, I will take that.
Now, how have you been since we last spoke? It was a few months ago when we had a chat.
Yes, I've been really busy and really good. I've been in Arizona now for, I want to say almost 2 months now. Pretty sure I'm not going back to Miami as far as to live. I'll go back and get my stuff and that whatnot, but we can talk about that later. But I've been really busy here in Arizona getting to know Joe and the area and continuing my adventures out here.
Well, I found it. And we're gonna get into all of that in a minute, but I found it so interesting that after our last chat and watching things evolve in your life online, and of course, you know, when we watch things online, we only get a snippet of what's going on. So I'm sure there's a fantastic story to be heard. But for people who are listening in today who maybe didn't listen to our first episode, shame on you people. You go back and listen to our first episode.
That's right. It leads up to this, that's for sure.
It does. But why don't you share with the listeners today what your whole passion has been about helping people with online dating? Because I think it's fascinating.
Okay, sure. How this all started to begin with was being 50 and single. I didn't know how to manage the whole dating sites, the dating apps. Facebook itself is overwhelming with dating by proxy, I guess. I don't know where the Facebook itself can be a dating site without it having the dating app part of it. So all of it was very overwhelming when I went public. I went public with my Facebook page just so that I could, I guess, start to get advice and share and that sort of thing, my dating adventures. And it just kind of snowballed till it turned into the group. But even before that, while I was just sharing my adventures, I had jumped off of the California boat and onto the Miami boat. And that's where I actually decided to go public once I was in Miami. Um, so from there, it was just kind of fun how much it took off and how much interest there was.
And why do you think that was? What do you think was some of the main catalysts behind people really gravitating to what you were sharing online?
I think because they could all relate. Nobody wants to spend as much time as I did writing out their story and having to be careful about not revealing who it was you're dating. I should say nobody, but I'm sure it's rare that people want to share that much information. Everybody's got a life. At this point, I had quit my job and didn't have an outside life other than seeking adventures and dating. So I had plenty of time to write. So people that didn't have plenty of time to write had plenty of time to read and live vicariously through me, or they're already living that
Mm,
dating. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? How come this keeps turning out the same way type of lifestyle? Meeting the same gal or the same guy each time you
yeah,
swipe right on those apps.
yeah. Were you surprised with the amount of people that were gravitating towards what you were doing in terms of, just people, strangers, I guess, that were coming out of nowhere?
Oh, absolutely. Because I went from I think approximately about 300 friends on my Facebook page to 5,000, where I couldn't have more within a month or so. And it wasn't me reaching out asking for friendships; it was people who had read my story. So yeah, that was really surprising.
Yeah. And what age groups are we talking about?
Almost all age group wise is in the 40 plus range. Now there's a few of the younger people, but they were mostly men being inappropriate, the young ones. So if I got that young
Young.
group, yeah, wasn't typically for because my stories were good.
It's funny. I want to go back to what you talked about at the beginning about this Facebook thing and how it's not officially a dating app, but people can tend to use it for that. I've had my own personal experience, and I actually met you online through a friend of a friend, and I find it fascinating because I'm in the business of, and let's understand this in the right way, of stalking people online to get guests
I
for
do
my show,
understand that.
right? Yeah.
Yes, uh-huh.
So I'm always on the lookout for interesting people, and when I meet a friend like the person I did who was connected to you, I look through those people's friends and I look at their life and I look if they're
Absolutely.
traveling a lot, and if they're traveling a lot and they've got some travel stories, I reach out and say, hey, would you like to be a guest on the show? Now, it's amazing how many women in particular, and I've got to say, I reach out to probably 60% women and 40% guys on that Facebook app, yeah?
Yes,
But
uh-huh.
but but the majority of women think I'm trying to hit on them and trying to use Facebook as a means of, dating them or getting to know
Right.
them on
Right. You're
that level.
tricking
So
them. Uh-huh. You're
yeah, yeah,
manipulating them. Yes.
yeah. So do you think, and I want to get your view on this, do you think there's a lot of skepticism out there about the way that we connect on social media?
Absolutely. It's one of the things I try to overcome daily on my group page, where people don't take advantage of the fact that you have Facebook and you can look at them if they're not a private account uh, and see if they say they're one thing, are they truly that thing? uh, it's pretty simple. You don't need a background check and all these things that people do. And we even had a great post about it. Uh, I believe it was Joe's post, or it actually was my post, but Joe's idea about asking people like, if you had this app, would you use it? And all we did was describe Facebook,
Mm.
because people are saying, oh, I just got stood up again, or oh, this guy was married, this guy had a girlfriend, or that girl is crazy, oh, that girl drinks too much, this and that. And I'm thinking, well, I looked at her Facebook page and I could tell you within the first 3 seconds of looking at her page, she was going to drink too much on your first date. So why didn't you take the time to investigate a little bit before you do that and then get caught up in this? And then now you've got drama and you're, saying, woe is me. Do a little investigating. We've got Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm gonna break the show up into kind of two episodes today.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
gonna I'm gonna focus about your wonderful journey, and I want
Okay.
everybody to hear as much as you want to share. Again, it's your private life. You only put out there what you want us to know.
Absolutely.
And then the second part, I've decided to speak to a number of people that contacted me after we did the first show, who kind of had a lot of questions
Okay,
about, oh, why
great.
didn't you ask Laura this? Why didn't you ask Laura that? And I said, okay, well, give me the questions and I'm going to ask Laura next time I chat. So I've got all those questions listed as well. But I don't want to rush through the show and get to
Okay.
the end and not hear your story, because I think it's fantastic. So why don't we start off with your story, and I can ask you a few things around that, because when we last spoke, I don't even know if Joe was on the scene. Was he on the scene when we were
Dude,
last speaking?
he
He
was.
was.
Yes. Okay, so being one of the three, he obviously stood out. I could tell you how he stood out and how the others dropped off. I'm not sure which you want or if you want both.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Tell us how the others dropped off. I think that's important for us to understand the process you went through.
Okay. So all of them were long distance. Two of them, actually, one was California, and one was UK, and then with Joe in Arizona. So the one in California dropped off from basically. I got a sense that things weren't going to go so well with how he was very. I don't know what the word would be. Not necessarily forceful, but if we could find another word to substitute for that, in
Mm.
his way of that I'm not coming to you, you're going to come to me. I'll meet you in the middle, but you're paying half. And not that I have a problem with paying half or meeting in the middle. It was the way he said it and whatnot that was kind of throwing up a little bit of red flags as we chatted. Um, and then the very last call was odd in that we were FaceTiming. I was FaceTime. So we're FaceTiming, kind of having a FaceTime date. He's having a drink and I'm having one. He lights up a cigarette.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, ooh, was I looking for this red flag? I might have been, because there was already little things that were making my, back of my hair stand up, going, nope, 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 Laura, your spidey senses are saying this probably isn't worth flying halfway or going all the way, all that kind of stuff. I was like, ugh. So when he lit up the cigarette, that was like a done deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not feeling it anyways, so let's just call this quits. So that one was, done. Then the one in, go
Just
ahead,
getting
go
back to
ahead.
him. So he was the one in California, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so you hadn't traveled to meet each other at this stage.
No, we had
No.
not.
Okay, so you were still in the process of, chatting
And I met him
online.
on Facebook, by the way.
Oh, you met him on Facebook. Okay.
Yes.
And so when he lit that cigarette and you're still having that conversation, is that when you ended things, or how did you get to the stage of
No,
it? Oh, okay.
yeah, wasn't going to just be that abrupt.
Mm.
I wanted to think it through because that was like an instinctual, like, I wanted to immediately do that. I thought, no, 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 just think this through, have this conversation. He could have maybe even turned it around while we were talking, even at that point, but it didn't. It just kept kind of going weird. So when that conversation was over that night, I slept on it, talked about it to myself,
Mm-hmm.
and the next day I was like, no, I need to end it. Don't let this be strung along anymore. So the next day I ended it.
So would your advice be then around that particular scenario with to saying to other people, gut feel, if you've got that gut feel, it's not right for you, get out now, get out there and then, and
No,
don't linger on?
nope. I would actually say at least give yourself, some time, 12 hours, 24 hours, because a lot of times, especially at our age, we tend to have that uh, instinct to run, the red flags, all that kind of stuff happens so often. And there could be a really good person behind there, but because of your past fears or history of whatever's happening, you're ready to run. You've got your running shoes on and you're just ready to run. So it's really not something that particular person did, male or female. Uh, you're just ready to run. So check yourself. Make sure that you're not exaggerating what just happened. Make sure you're not holding it against this person of something that somebody did in your past, ex-spouses, ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends. Um, maybe they did something or said something in a certain way that just triggered you. Well, you can't live like that. That isn't that person. But does it make you aware and need to watch? Is that a pink flag?
Mm.
Heck yeah.
Mm.
Pink flag went up. But don't run.
Mm.
You just give it some time, think it through, use cognitive thoughts. And once you're sure that it is not just running from past history, it's running because your gut instinct is correct
Yeah.
to the best of your ability, then yes, cut it off quickly. Don't drag it on trying to save someone's feelings or because my big thing in my past, huge thing in my past, I want everybody to like me.
Mm. Mm.
So I would just make everybody my friend and just do anything and everything and drag things on because I don't want anybody to dislike me.
Yeah,
It
right.
was it was horrible.
Mm.
It was so unfair to the other person.
So, how long was it before our friend in California got the sad news?
It was about I'm going to say it was about 24 hours when I called him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't take it well.
I was going to say, did he take it not so well?
No,
Huh?
he
Mm.
was rude. Yeah, he was really rude about it.
Oh,
Yeah, didn't
so
go so well.
so was there some relief after that when you saw that side of him as well? You kind of thought,
It was
well,
that I made the right call.
yeah,
Each time it's like, yeah, okay, I made the right call because, things can get rough in a relationship or if there's a breakup down the line. If this was just over phone chatting, FaceTime, and this is how rude you get, can't imagine what it'd be like if you were in an actual relationship.
yeah, exactly. My grandfather used to always say to me, "Time is the keeper of the truth."
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that so true? You know,
Very true.
the
Yeah.
longer you leave things in that situation, the truth comes out eventually, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't hide it for too long. I have the 3 month rule. Joe laughs at that all the time, but it was the 3 month rule of like, nope, we don't do anything for the 3 months.
Yeah.
I've broken all my rules, by the way, but that is, I think, a really, really good rule to have.
Yeah. Do you did these guys know they were up against each other? Did they know that there was a couple other guys in the game here?
The two of them did,
Ah,
and one of them didn't. The California one apparently didn't. I thought he did. He did not.
okay.
So after I talked to you, I let him know, and he was rude. He was just, yeah, not kind about it at all.
Oh wow.
I was like, we're FaceTiming. We're not dating. We've had no actual relationship, and heck, he's in California. He could be doing anything he wants to do. Talk to everybody. We haven't. There's been no commitment. But that's me. Some people can't do that. I see that on my page constantly in the group, I should say,
Mm.
that there's so many, more male than female, that cannot chat with more than one person at a time.
Yeah, I was going to say because some people will be listening to this, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, is it the right thing to do from either side, whether you're male or female, to have
As long as you're open about it.
several people on the go at the same time? You know?
Yeah, if you're just chatting,
Yeah.
you're just flirting.
Yeah.
You're just flirting. For gosh sakes, you could be at work and you're flirting with somebody, and you have somebody else you're chatting with that you're, talking about potential to dating.
Mm.
Does that person that you're chatting with potentially dating need to know that you've been flirting with somebody at work?
Do you think it changes over time if you've been chatting for quite a long time, and I don't know whether you say weeks or months, even if it's a long distance thing, and someone could say, well, I'm emotionally investing in this, I'm putting my time and effort in. You want to hook up at a certain time of a day where I've got to change my schedule around and I've got to be there for you, and I'm showing you that I'm committed to this, and you're telling me you got one or two other guys on the go. Like, how does that make someone feel, do you think?
That to me is key, because that means that person communicated.
Mm.
So
Mm.
if that person communicated to me, like I had tried to do with gentlemen, is that if they have communicated to me that I've put effort in and I don't feel like you're putting the same effort in, you're not matching effort, I either have to say, okay, I'm going to quit chatting with the other guys because I am very interested in you. I don't want to lose this opportunity to get to know you. So I'm going to quit chatting with them and match your effort. Or if I were to say, I'm sorry, I'm not at that level, I'm not going to match your effort, to me, that guy should get out.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I'm not going to make that effort that another guy puts, so effort in, effort out on everybody's case. So if in that kind of effort in, then can't do it. It just can't.
Do you think it's a different dynamic when you're chatting to someone long distance versus being in the same town?
Meaning FaceTime?
Yeah, like you when you're closer together, you have that option of jumping in the car and going and meeting each other, right? But when you're across the country or even across the world, it puts a whole new dynamic in it, doesn't
Yes,
it?
absolutely.
As far as that communication side
Very,
goes.
very different.
Okay, so let's move on to gentleman number 2. He was in the UK. Tell us what
Yes.
happened there.
So he had made plans to come out and visit. We'd been chatting quite a bit for uh, maybe a couple months, and he was in a job position that he needed to be able to take, leave to do it, to meet up. And so we had plans to do that meetup, and he did not meet those plans. So I let him
Oh,
go. I had made plans for the whole
Okay.
weekend to make myself available, and when his plans changed and he didn't let me know until I reached out that same evening that he was supposed to be arriving, his plans had changed. I was like, oh no, no, I
Oh wow! So you had gone to the stage where you were expecting him to
absolutely,
arrive on a certain
yeah,
day, yeah, and he told you that he was going to be
yeah.
there, and then you basically had to follow up and find out, where is this guy? He hasn't arrived,
No,
or he's
it's
not
not. Yeah,
coming.
just not coming. I was just confirming. Okay, your flight comes in at such and such time, and I'll meet you
Yeah,
there and take you to your hotel. He goes, oh, I
yeah.
meant to let you know, I'm not coming.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to
oh,
come, XYZ, like 3 days or something later. And I was like, oh no, 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 no.
right, right. Oh, okay. So he was pushing for an
Yes,
alternative date. Okay, but you said no way if
heck
he's not going to
no.
step up and walk the
Yeah,
talk.
heck
Yeah, right.
no.
Okay,
And if
okay.
somebody needed to change
Yeah,
a date, I'm not that stern. That's
mm.
fine. But you should have told me before I called to check on with you that same night that you're coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was your gut feel on that one?
I'm
Why
still
did that go
lost to
south, do
this
you think?
day. I completely
Mm.
have no idea how I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Was your communication prior to that very open and transparent from your point of view in terms of, trusting this guy, thinking that he was going to, be the real
Yes.
deal in terms of turning up at least to
Oh,
meet you? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, because I've been ghosted and stood up
Yeah.
many times, and I look back
Yeah.
on it and go, "Oh, I could have seen that coming." Oh, there's all the signs. There's all the pink flags, red flags. I saw them. Not with
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
particular guy. I did not.
Well, so it just shows, doesn't it, that you can go through that length of, one, the experience that you've had in the past, and two, that build up that you had leading into that situation, and it still
Yeah,
goes south.
absolutely.
It still
Yeah.
goes south. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, well, but by default, then, as a result, Joe ended up being the
Well,
winner.
he had already kind of become the winner right before the UK guy came because I was gonna have to deal with that, which I was struggling
Yeah,
with the UK guy coming and my tendency to lean more towards Joe before the UK guy even got there. Was
yeah,
because I had started to break it off with Joe, or actually kind of did, because I didn't want to get emotionally invested with him when I was felt like I was leaning in emotionally towards this UK guy, as well as that there was so much going on with Miami and building the group, and I was new job, and I was just like, gosh, this Joe guy is so cool, but man, he's all in. His effort was outreaching mine. He had a lot of, as they say, in the blue. He was
yeah,
definitely in the
yeah.
blue, but not annoyingly at all. Uh, but
Mm,
at the same time, I couldn't seem to get off the phone with him because I didn't want to hang up and all these things. I was like, wow, I'm getting pretty attached to him and he's not fitting in any of my boxes, all those little boxes that we
mm,
ladies have, like you've got to have this, they've got
mm.
to have that, and I'm not putting up with this at
Yeah,
this my age and all these things, right?
yeah,
He
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
fit in any of the boxes, but yet somehow I couldn't hang up the phone most days with him and would run to it when I heard it ringing to go see if it was his face that showed up when it was ringing. So I was like, wow,
Wow,
I'm being
wow.
freaking obsessive. This is ridiculous. Uh,
Mm,
so
mm.
I was just like, that's it. I got to break it off with him. He's just not fitting the boxes. So
Oh, wow. So
yeah, so I
okay,
broke
so I
it,
want to
broke it off
know,
with him.
so I want to know though, do you think that your attraction, which was obvious now, what you're just saying, your attraction to Joe, do you think that was rubbing off in your communication with these other guys?
Uh, I don't
Do you
think
think you were
so.
being more shorter and more, perhaps not as deep and
I
meaningful
I
when you
think
were
it made it
speaking to them?
easier for the California guy. It made it much easier for me. I'm thinking, "Ugh, why am I putting up with this? I've got, other two other nice guys on the line. Why would I continue to put up with this California guy's attitude?" So it made
Yeah.
it easier to break up with him. And then the UK guy, I wasn't sure how I was going to handle that. Um,
Mm.
but I think I really liked how far away he was and how much he worked, and like I didn't really have to put a lot of effort in. He checked off a lot of the boxes too. Uh, so
Mm. Mm.
he was seemed like the right fit on paper. He seemed like the right fit on
Yes.
paper. But then, like I said, when I broke it off with Joe, he wrote this letter in the group. but he didn't ever call me out on it because the group didn't know that I had been chatting with him. So
Okay, so you're anonymous as
yeah, because
far
I
as the
knew he was
group
flirting
goes.
with
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people too. We were both, he knew I was chatting with other people. I knew he was chatting with other people. So we just didn't tell anybody. So we just left it alone. But then when he wrote the breakup post, I was like, oh, fudge, I made a mistake. I broke it off
Oh
with the
no.
wrong guy. Oh, shoot, I
Uh huh.
broke it up with the wrong guy. Dang it. Because if you could break up with him and this is the kind of stuff he writes, I broke up with the wrong guy. So when the UK guy didn't show up, I just like, whatever, next. I just didn't even care anymore. But then I was like, dang it. How do I reach back out to Joe? So
Mm,
I was
mm,
waiting for an
mm,
opportunity to reach back out to Joe, and I ended up asking him because quite a few people had said you and Joe should do a live cast together because they like our advice on the
mm.
group. And I was like, perfect. It's not because of me; it's because of the group. So that was my excuse
Yeah,
to
yeah,
reach back out to him, and I said, hey, the group wants us to do this thing together. Would you be willing to do that? And he said yes. Again, being polite, being the forever gentleman,
yeah,
being
yeah.
mature. He said yes. So we did that thing together, and you know, from there we just continued to chat, and I apologized for breaking it off with him, and uh he
Mm, mm.
eventually, forced his way into Miami for a whole nother story. It was about my dog. He was going to fly all the way to Miami to take care of my dog because I needed to go to holidays with my grandchildren and I couldn't get there. My dog was sick. So he was going to spend 2 days from Arizona to Miami just watching my dog.
Wow, wow. What a
Yeah,
keeper.
yeah.
What a keeper. And tell me, when you got on and did that group thing together with Joe, did you get a sense straight away that you were back in the game there? Did it feel as though you had an opportunity to reconnect with Joe after
I
that show?
felt like it, but I also knew that he's as big as flirt as I am. So I wasn't sure if he was just being flirtatious and kind and kind of has that attitude if he wants everybody to like him like I do me. But now since I've gotten to know him, he definitely doesn't have that attitude if he wants everybody to like him. He doesn't really care who he pisses off. So I
Yeah,
didn't
right.
know that at the time though. I thought he was like me and just wanted to please everybody. So
Mm,
I was unsure, but I was willing to risk and say, hey, I'm actually really interested. And he
mm.
still to this day teases me about it. So
So he should.
yes,
So he
yes.
should.
So breaking up with him was the
So
best
okay,
thing that could ever happen. It made me fall for him even better.
so there you go there. But I wonder, and I really wonder. I'm sitting here wondering now whether or not many people would get a second chance. Like you guys were connected through the group, which gave you another avenue of opportunity, so to speak. And that's how you really rekindled your connection again, was through the
Yes,
group. A lot of people wouldn't have that connection, right? So once you're gone, you're
yes,
gone.
yes.
Like,
And most people
so
would
maybe
leave
the
the group.
universe was
Yeah.
really looking out for you. Yeah, yeah. Most people would leave the group. That's a really good
There's so
point.
many people in the group that have ended up, if you want to call it hookups or dating or what have you. There, even though it's not a dating site, the group is not a dating site. It ends up obviously where you get to know people and you can see they're single. There's, they're revealing each other and just the whole reveal of things happening within the group. It has made
Yeah,
a lot of relationships happen, and you can see when it happens because every once in a while they get a little lovey-dovey hearts and that kind of stuff when they're communicating, but nobody really knows because it's nobody's business. But you can see they're chatting a little bit nicer, and then you see somebody leave the group, and you're like, oh, I
oh,
bet it didn't work out, and they don't want to see each other's stuff or what have you.
oh no. So that brings a real different dynamic to the group, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Because you could have these dropouts which have effectively got nothing to do with everybody else in the group, but it might be that they've just had an encounter with someone and it's made them run,
Yes,
yeah, from
yes.
the
And I've
group.
had a few people
Oh,
that reach back to me and say, "Hey, I want back in the group. How do I do that?" And I say, "Oh, sure. I'm so sorry. There's over 1,000 something people. I didn't notice you left. I'm sorry." And then they're like, "Oh, no, no, that's okay." But I went and dated somebody in the group for a couple weeks, and now I'm over it. So I don't mind. I want back in the group. And I'm all sure. I'll send you an invite.
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, let's talk for a second about the group. Are there members of the group across the United States, across the world?
Across the
How does
world,
it work
yeah.
in terms of
Anybody and
demographic
everybody's welcome, but
across the
I do
world?
the Facebook stalking, as
Mm,
you say. I
yeah,
try anyways, because it is a large amount of people in every day. That you check them out, make sure they're legit first of all, and then if they're in a foreign country and they're 21, I usually decline
yeah,
because I'm like that's not going to work. For what this group is, we're in our
mm,
40s plus most of us, and
mm,
uh, if
mm,
you're not in a position to be able to travel or this and that, how is this going to work? We've got 90% of the people are here in the U.S.
yeah. It probably leads me into one of my questions that I've got. I'm going to hold it off until later because I want to hear more about Joe's story. So, and I'm sure everybody else does as
I
well. So,
can.
what happened? What happened? What happened next with Joe?
Okay.
So, you guys got reconnected again through the group session that you
Yeah.
did, and then how did you take
Okay,
it from
so we're
there?
still FaceTiming. I'm giving him the woes of he was saying, what about us getting together for the holidays, I believe. And I said, well, I can't. I'm going to go see the grandkids in New Jersey. If I can get a dog sitter. So with that, he said, well, why can't you take her with you? I've seen you travel with her. Why can't you board her or have your son watch her? That kind of stuff. And I'm all, she's in kidney failure right now, so she can't just be boarded in a cage type of thing, and I can't travel with her because she is so sick. So I really don't know what to do. And he's volunteered. He said, I'm going to talk to my son, who lives here in Arizona with him. And
Yep.
he said, if he's okay with it, I'll come to Miami. And I'm like, I don't know you. There's no way that we can. No, no, no. And I just kept saying, no, no, no. And I said, and you're a stranger. Basically, you're a stranger. I cannot have a stranger come stay in my house for 2 days. And we went back and
Mm,
forth with that for a couple weeks to where finally I gave in and I said, okay, I
mm.
can't not leave this dog without somebody that knows about dogs, is going to be able to take care of her. God forbid she passes away, you're going to be able to handle that, not feel guilty. You know, but I've got to do this. I've got to go spend time with my. So he started looking at flights and whatnot, and in the meantime, the dog passed away.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
so Bonko had to be put down, and so I let him know that. I think it was that day, and he said, "Well, I still want to come to Miami." And I said, "But it would only be for 2 days. Are you serious?" And he said, "Serious? It's a heart attack. I want to come." And I said, "For 2 days." In between a Facebook visit from a gal from the group that I'd never met, because I did that. I met quite a few people from the group, and they came hung out at my place in Miami, and she was there, that one gal, and he said, I'll come the day that she leaves. And I said, but then the day after that, 2 days after that, I go to New Jersey. And he goes, I don't care. And I said, are you serious? And he goes, yes. Oh,
Wow.
okay. I said, okay, okay. So he came. So I got an
Wow.
Uber, went to the airport so that I could greet him when he got there. So we
Yeah.
could get a taxi to go back to my place. And so, are you sure? And he said, yes. And I'm like, okay. So we met for the first
Wow.
time in the Miami airport a few days after we had decided to go forward with meeting, even though Bonko had passed.
Okay, so let's talk about this because I'm sure a lot of people out there are wanting to
Sure.
know, what's it like when you're meeting someone for the first time who's flying in from God knows where,
Yeah.
to meet you, and they come out of that airport.
Yeah.
Like, what was that moment like?
Okay.
What was it
So
like?
he was a lot shorter than I thought. I think he's 5'9". I'm 5'7". But for whatever reason, in pictures when you see him on Facebook and FaceTiming, he seemed a lot bigger. So
Mm,
when I saw him first, I was like, oh, he's a little bit shorter. And I was like, oh, because he didn't have his glasses on all the time, FaceTiming, I don't believe. So his glasses kind of took me back. Obviously, he was dressed comfortably for such a long flight. But when I saw him, he was like that way. And he always wears grunt style t shirts. I don't know if you know what those are. Uh,
grunge
yeah,
style
you're Australia.
t-shirts.
So Grunt Style is a brand, and it's like a marine thing, and he's an ex-marine,
Okay.
so he wears those a lot.
Yeah.
So I think he either had that on
Yeah.
a Nike shirt, but I remember him being in sweatpants and a t-shirt and tennis shoes, and I don't know. It just, the whole thing just kind of threw me off. I don't know why. So we awkwardly,
Were you disappointed?
not
Like,
disappointed.
did you have kind of a sinking
Oh,
stomach
my
or?
stomach, I was so sick to my stomach, not because of what he looked like, but just the nerves, just the overall nerves.
Yeah, yeah.
I just, I don't know. And he took so freaking long to get there. Because everybody else from his flight had already come down and they were already picking up their luggage and leaving. He was taking forever
Yeah.
to get there. Uh,
Did you talk to him
I
about that?
did.
Was
I
that
talked
part of
about a
his
couple
strategy
things. I
or what?
said also, yeah, later we talked about it. I said what happened and stuff. And I can't remember if he said that he he was the last one to get off the plane or something like that, or if he admitted that he had stopped to have a cigarette of all things. I can't remember because
Oh,
I know when I hugged
oh,
him for the first time, I smelled a cigarette right away.
oh. Did you know that he
Nope.
smoked?
Uh-uh. We
You
had this
didn't.
discussion
Ah,
because it had already thrown me off from the other guy. So I said,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
so
course.
I he said, no, the only time I ever smoke is if I have been drinking. And I was like, oh,
Mm,
okay. I didn't like it, but I was like, no, okay. I'm not going to let this be a deal breaker anymore. Okay. There's no other red flags. This is it. When he's drinking, he's smoking, I'm okay.
mm.
And then when I smelled it on him, I was very disappointed. I wanted him to smell fabulous. When he gets off the plane, I just
Yeah,
wanted this cologne smell. I don't know,
yeah.
but it wasn't. I could smell cigarettes, and I was like, God dang it. Okay, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Get over this. So now my stomach's just like, and my mind's racing 1,000 different ways, and his must have been too. Oh my God.
Have you guys sat down and talked about
We
this? Have
have
you
since then.
actually
Yeah.
reflected on this moment?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
definitely.
So I'm curious to know whether or not you kind of got to that stage where all those noises were going off in your head and you were saying to yourself, because he hadn't met those particular expectations that you had going on in your mind. And I'm not saying they were right or
Right.
wrong. I'm just saying you had a picture built up on what you thought this guy was going to look and smell
Yes.
like, right? And he walks out there and it's not like you're expecting. So did you start to think this is not going to work?
No,
This
I
is,
didn't go
my
there.
first
Nope, I
impression is
didn't. I did not
okay,
go there.
okay,
That no, this isn't going to work. What I went with there was like, okay, this expectations lead to disappointment. If you had just left it open to just being whatever was going to happen, however he was going to
yeah,
look, however he was going to smell, but my expectations were so high that it just leads to disappointment. I should have just been like, who knows what he's going to smell like? I don't know. When you haven't met somebody in person, who knows what height they are, what the size of them is. Just I should have left
yeah.
myself to have an open mind. I did not. I had expectations. So, but immediately, upon
Do you think it's something that women do in general? They set that expectation so high and it has an immediate impact on what the outcome's going to
I
be.
can't speak for every woman, but am I going to say in general? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Definitely, I believe it is more female than male. Probably goes both ways, and it's probably not all women, but I would say a
Yeah,
majority of women set expectations, and they're really not that
yeah,
hard to
okay,
meet. But the men don't know. I didn't tell him at expectations. You know what I mean? And he
yeah,
couldn't have met them anyways with the size of him. How was that going to be met in any way, shape, or form? And most likely he had, flown for 6 hours, or if he had any layover and that kind of stuff. If anybody does, you're going to not smell the most fabulous. Uh,
mm,
but
mm.
then the cigarette smell is like, oh, if he has cologne, I certainly can't smell it. All I could smell was the cigarettes. Damn it. Damn it. And I kept thinking, he is so cool. I'm going to get over this.
On the cigarette thing, was that something previously in your dating experience as was an absolute showstopper, deal breaker? Was it
Yes.
something that you just,
Yeah.
it was? Okay, so what got you to the stage where you started to relax your rule around smoking?
One particular guy that was a closet smoker and very good about it, I really liked him, and that was not the deal breaker. And I was like, look, I could have lost out on meeting this really nice guy, and it's super
Yeah,
great kids if I had had that cigarette rule and known he smoked. So I
yeah,
would have lost out on a nice guy. So I was like, no, you need to relax that a little and just put it into play. Like if they're smoking a lot and there's all these other red flags, ugh, okay, done. You don't need to deal with the smoking because there's other red flags too.
yeah. Okay, cool. So you're in the was it your car or a taxi
No, I
or
don't
Uber
have a
together?
car,
Yeah.
so I sold everything when I moved to
Okay.
Miami. So I had 3
Yeah,
cars
okay.
before I moved to Miami and 0 cars right now. So
Okay.
yeah, I took an Uber there, and then I said it's always easier
Yeah.
when you're coming out of an airport. We're gonna take one of these stinky broke down taxis back to my place. So we got in a
Okay.
taxi. We were just staring and giggling at each other like weird little teenagers because we really didn't know what to say or how to act or anything. We were just holding
Mm.
hands and giggling, basically.
Did that surprise you? Because you're a Leo,
I
if I
am.
remember right. And Leos are, strong, independent women. They know what they want in their lives, and a lot of women around the world who are
I
leaders in business
very
and in
much take
politics are
charge. Yes.
Leos. Yeah, they take charge. So, were you surprising yourself with the way that you were feeling and carrying on
Yes,
at that
it
stage?
was making me sick to my stomach to even look back at me. I was just like, what a giddy little schoolgirl. What the heck has happened to you?
So you got home, and then what?
So I
How did
wasn't
it
sure
how
how he
did
was
it
going
kick
to feel
off?
about my place. I'd kind of seen his place through FaceTime. I'm assuming he'd kind of seen mine or took notes. He's very observant, I think by nature, but also with his police background. So I
Mm.
was just like, I'm really sorry it's not perfectly clean because the gal that I had staying with me right before he left, we were both, but her particularly, a mess. Everything was a mess. I hadn't cleaned up from when the dog had still lived there, as far as at least a mess to me. Trust me, I'm kind of a clean freak. So it was a mess to me
Okay.
that I hadn't, detailed my house before my new male guest was about to come stay with me. So I kept
Mm.
apologizing. I'm so sorry. It's kind of a mess. It's kind of a mess. And he's like, no, stop it. It's fine. It's great. Um, oh, okay. I got to tell you too. But I told him too. I have white carpets. So I have, white tiles, but my area rugs are white. He walked across them with his shoes on. I was like, exactly. I was like, oh my God.
Mm.
Okay, don't say anything. He's your guest. These are things. This is your guest. But he was the first one in the 7 months or so that I'd lived there that walked across my white rug with his shoes on. I was like, okay, no big deal. No big deal. Make him feel comfortable.
Mm.
So I just did what I could to make him feel comfortable and get over my OCD stuff. And that has still been a challenge since I've been with him.
Joe has conquered a lot of space in terms of he got to come into your
Yeah,
your
he was the
your
first one that
space
ever
in a
got to stay in
very
my space. Yeah.
yeah, so that was huge, yeah, like massive in terms of you've actually through all that talking leading up to this and him being very compassionate and wanting to look after your
Yeah.
dog, and then that didn't obviously work out, but then you still went ahead and let this guy come into your
Yes,
space.
yes. Every other visitor
Yeah.
I've ever had, other than the females, have all stayed at hotels. They don't come stay in my space ever.
You're talking to me today from Arizona,
Yes.
so how the heck did you get there now? How's things evolved since that first meeting in
Okay,
Miami?
so when we in Miami, it went really well. I think that we both clicked. We spent every minute together, and it just clicked really well. You could tell that there was just something, that whatever it was we were feeling through the texting and then FaceTime, it was still there when we were actually in each other's presence. So it
Mm.
was really good, kind of overwhelming, I think, for both of us. That was like, wow, this is great. So, but to get long story short of how the Miami weekend ended was fabulous. This is a great part of the story. Okay, so he has to fly out at so he spends the night that night. We hang out all the next day and night. The next morning he has to fly out. So that's all we had was one night together, one day together, and then one night flies out the next morning. So he has to fly.
But
Sure.
hang on, I've got to go back to your
Yeah.
first episode here because you told us about your rule about how
Yep.
long guys can
Yep.
stay around, right? They don't stay
Still
around for a
believe
week or
that.
2 weeks. They're there. Right. Okay. So that worked out perfectly with Joe because he was right in that
Yep.
window of
Yep.
opportunity, right?
Absolutely. And
Okay. Okay.
I would have probably broke my own rule. I probably wouldn't have pushed him out, which I should have. So that but so
There
he
you
had to
go.
fly
Yeah.
back because I was flying back to Jersey. So he's gets his
Yep.
flight at 7 in the morning. I get him an Uber, send him off to the airport, and then my flight doesn't. I don't have to be at the airport till like 8:30 that morning. So I'm continuing to get ready, and I get my stuff going, and I get to the airport. So I text him when I get to the airport. He says, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at such and such. I'm checking in right now. I'm in the line, TSA line." And he goes, "Okay, my plane's been delayed. I'm going to come see you." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Just, I'll be right there." And I'm thinking, he's already gone through TSA. If he leaves where he's checked in, but his flight's been delayed, and he didn't tell me how long it's been delayed. So I was like, okay, calm down, Laura. He's an adult. If he could come back through TSA, he must have plenty of time. So he comes back through, and I was just like, I got to keep going though, or I'm going to be late for my flight. And he goes, I don't care. I just wanted to give you one last kiss. So he had come back all the way through from his
Wow.
gate to go to Arizona. Mine was going to New Jersey. He gives me a kiss as I'm going through the TSA line and heads off. So once I finally get through, just barely make it, by the way, get in to my plane, because I literally never sat down. I just went through TSA, walked through, got on my plane, and sat down in the airplane. I get a text from him before they shut us off, and he says, my plane took off without me. I was like, what? How? What are we supposed? I said, okay, that's okay. So when do you fly? And he goes, I won't fly out until tomorrow. It's the soonest flight, So we did chat a little bit back and forth until we found out, okay, the soonest flight he could have is the next day. And I said, okay, I'm going to get you an Uber, because he doesn't have the
Wow.
apps here in Arizona. There's nothing. So I said, I'm going to get you a Uber back to my condo. I'm going to call my condo security. They're going to let you in. I'm going to call and get you groceries, because I'd cleaned out my fridge and everything. Everything was done for my trip to New Jersey. I said, so I'm going to get you some groceries.
Yeah.
You'll be fine tomorrow morning. Tell me when you're ready. I'm going to get you an Uber back to the airport the next day. And he goes, okay. So that's what I
Yeah.
did. I, got him an Uber back to my place, called my security, got him in.
Wow.
But okay, so when I get back from Jersey, we FaceTime the whole time I'm in Jersey. I get back to my place a
Yeah.
week later, 10 days later, something like that. And there's, when I open the door, there's rose petals all through the hallway. I have a video of it. There's sticky notes everywhere with inspirational things about encouraging me with the group and whatnot, encourage me in life, encourage me as parent and grandparent, just fabulous things everywhere. And then I turn the corner, and there's
Wow.
two vases of, or not vases, because I don't have any. Nobody ever bought me flowers, believe it or not, before. He had put flowers in wine bottles that I'd saved, pretty wine bottles. So then I turn the corner of my bedroom. There's rose petals and chocolate all over my bed, sticky notes everywhere, more vases, bottles of wine, flowers in my bedroom, all over through into the bathroom. To this day, I'm probably still going to open things and find more. But then when I go out to the family room, more vases of flowers, more sticky notes. And then when I open the freezer to make myself some meal later that night, there's a cheesecake he made. And I believe it was a German chocolate or something, a chocolate style cake that he had made that was in the freezer with more sticky notes.
Wow. I'm falling for this guy myself.
And I hope I'm not forgetting anything, because there was the sticky notes, there was the flowers, there's the chocolates. Oh, bottle of wine was also on my bed. My favorite bottle of wine on the bed. I don't know. I could go on and on about the guy.
How did you feel? Like, you've been in this dating scene, you've had all the ups and downs with it, and then finally you've got a guy that's treating you like this. It must be amazing feeling.
Yeah, everyone kept saying, oh, he's moving too fast. It's too pushy. Isn't it overwhelming? How are you feeling? And I said, like the luckiest woman on the freaking planet. I absolutely do not feel like this has been too pushy, or he overstepped his boundaries, or anything else. He knew exactly how far to push it with so-called gifts and attention, and he just did it perfect. He did it absolutely perfect.
So when did the decision process start for you to say, I'm going to go to Arizona to be with this guy?
Almost immediately. I knew I wanted to see him again. I didn't want to spend as much time as we had originally talked about. Like, oh, I'll see you, in a couple months when I have this trip and that trip to go see my son. I just said, well, hell with this. When I'm done here, I had a couple things I needed to wrap up at work. One of them being quitting, because I'm, know my head's in the game, and I'm probably going to be in Arizona a long time. I did all that and went to Arizona.
So you quit your job. Did. You quit your job. Wow.
I don't care about money. I don't. I think we talked about that the last time. I think I'll find another job.
Yeah, no, I'm in your boat with that, but I know there's going to be a lot of people listening who are going, "What? She quit a job like that for this guy and just moved?" Like, people, that would freak people out. Like, I'm
on an adventure. I don't freaking care. Yeah, I don't care. I'll find the next job.
Brilliant. So how long after that first encounter, let's call it that, in Miami, did you end up moving to Arizona?
January 4th, I believe. So,
Okay.
December, Christmas time is where I was in New Jersey, and it was right before that. So,
Yep.
end of December, he came. I went to New Jersey, back
Yep.
home Christmas,
Yep.
did New Year's with one of my Facebook friends that I met on Facebook in the group. Did New Year's with her, came back, packed my suitcase, and went to go stay with Joe January 4th, I believe, and have been here ever since.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it was literally what we're talking 2 months
Yeah,
after you met.
yeah,
Yeah. Two
yeah.
months after you met
We
this
started
complete
shit.
stranger, you're
Yeah.
living in his house in
Yes,
Arizona.
and poor guy, I've gutted this sucker. I have gutted his house to make it my own. And he's been more than willing. Every once in a while, he gives a little pushback because I push too hard. But as far as what I want to do in it, and it's his house, he's like, yeah, okay, that's what you want to do.
Extraordinary. This is an amazing story. It's such a heartwarming story because you hear so much gloom and doom about long distance relationships. And that's why I wanted to get you back on the show today, Laura, because this story is so invigorating on so many different levels. And I want to dive into some of these questions now because a lot of them are relating to things that you've talked about in your own situation. So maybe you can give us your perspective on these things because I've asked these people to give me some questions for you, specifically for you. So they're not things that I've come up with, they're things that
Okay.
they've been thinking about. Yeah. First one is, do people who date online who are okay with long distance relationships have realistic expectations about what's involved, do
I
you
think
think?
anybody that's done it for a couple weeks will change their expectations if they weren't already realistic. Uh, you Time change is a big deal that Joe and I had to get around, or anybody that I chatted with had to get around the time difference of trying to get those chats done, and then also the expectation of somebody's gonna have to move, and who's got the
Yeah.
guts to just say
Yeah.
that's it, I'm selling everything and I'm going. Maybe it's both of you, because in
Yeah.
Joe and I's case, it was both of us. We both talked about which place would be better to live. Before I came here, actually, the first couple weeks I was here, we had still talked about both of us moving back to Miami. The longer I was here, the
Mm.
more reasonable it seemed to stay here because of the cost of living, uh, and the fact that my grandkids might be moving back to Phoenix, Arizona. One of my sons already lives in Southern California, so he's very close by.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed more, and then I have the one in Northern California. It just seemed, the more and more I talked and thought it through, that this is where we should be. And I was like, but I can't be in your house. I need it to be my house. I'm a nester by nature, that everything just has got to be just so in my surroundings. And he was like, well, let's do whatever it takes to make you comfortable. So we went from there.
Wow. Incredible. Was there any conversation at any time around perhaps a third location that you'd both go
Still
together and
is.
start a new life
Absolutely
together?
still is.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're just going to try to figure out finances. Both of us had, quit our jobs. So we're both going to try to figure out what it is and how much it'll take to get us, what we would love to do is get a motorhome and travel around doing the dating stuff. Uh, Meeting people face to face while we just can't figure out how to monetize it. That we would just go from state to state to state and talking about long distance relationships, dating online, Facebook interactions, and how to use Facebook to your advantage, all of that stuff. We would love
Mm.
to do it from a motorhome and travel.
Mm.
So if we
Yeah.
could, that's what we will eventually try to figure out how to do.
Well, I'm sure you will get there because with the two of you putting your heads together and with the passion you've got, also not only for each other but about the subject of helping people in that
Yeah,
dating
he
space,
seems to
it's
love
going to
it.
be
Yeah, he
yeah.
really does a great job. People do look to him for advice quite often, uh, and it also kind of makes me jealous because there's a lot of people that reach out to him instead of me for the dating advice, and I'm thinking they do need another perspective. He comes from it from a totally male perspective and a different attitude. I'm kind of Pollyanna about everything, and he's like very skeptical about everything.
You guys, knowing the US commercial market as I do, you guys need your own TV
We're
show.
gonna we're gonna
Like I
start a
can,
YouTube channel, Mark. We're gonna do it. So
yeah,
we just
yeah,
haven't figured
do it
out when or
because
how, but we have a few videos already up and going where we actually discuss things within the group. So like he turns on the video as we discuss. Say somebody reached out to me for advice, so we have this person
Yeah.
and this is the situation, and then I say this is what I would advise, and then he says, are you kidding me? Why would you say that? And then he gets all up in my
Yeah.
business. He goes,
Yeah.
this is not, this is this and this. And then I come back, I'm like, wait a minute, you're not seeing it from a female's point of view. And then I say this and this and that. So we come back and forth and we argue through the whole couple videos. So it shows what we really do every day, trying to manage the group.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. That's awesome. And I think there's no better. Well, I haven't heard of a better case study than what you two have been through, and all of my listeners have heard it now as well. Let's get back to these
Sure.
questions because I've got a few more to get
Okay.
through. This one is, today people who are in that 50 plus age bracket have an established life and they want someone to fit into that without the least amount of drama. What are your thoughts around
I
that?
think they're setting themselves up for a very lonely life. Not lonely in that they won't have friends and family and coworkers and whatnot, but to have a significant other, if you're so set in your ways and everybody has to fit and check those boxes. And I hear so often where people say, I want somebody that's stable and has their shit together. Uh, well, I'm sorry. If we're in our 50s and we're single, most likely we don't have our shit together. So we need to accept that, you don't either. You don't have it all together. So why are you looking for somebody with it all together? But lift each other up.
Mm,
Find somebody that has great qualities, but might be failing in some areas, and that's where you could make up for it. Be that other side of that for them. If they're struggling with getting back on their feet after a divorce, figure out how you could be the help, because that could be a great person in there. And they just can't figure out how to get out of their own way to get to that next step and rebuild after a divorce. Don't be like, they're
beautiful.
they're in a divorce,
Mm,
they're a mess, this and that. Well, then be the one to help. See if they help you back, and if they
mm,
don't, if there's not effort matching, then bail. But don't write them off
mm.
because they're in a bad spot.
Absolutely. Go and take care of their sick dog.
Yes, yes,
Get
exactly,
off the couch, right?
exactly.
Okay, great answer. Now, next one. What are guys doing wrong in the online dating space, in your opinion? Now, you could probably spend the rest
I
of the day
could. I'll
talking
just
about this,
start
but
right off the
gi-
bat, Mark.
give us a couple
Yeah,
of,
the
yeah,
very first
go
one,
for it.
their photos. Their photos. Hands down, their photos.
Mm,
Thousands and
mm,
thousands and thousands of likes I get. And I would swipe left on 99% of them because their photos were so bad. I'm thinking, if you cannot put the effort or even have the knowledge how to take a cute photo of yourself, what the
yep,
heck? Make
yeah.
yourself look interesting. That it's not that hard, and I'm willing to do it for free for you. I've had at least four men, I'm trying to, at least four men that have been willing to take, because I offer it all the time on my personal page and in the group. If you think your profile isn't getting you enough attention, shoot it over to me and let me see what I could do to help for
Mm,
free. I will go through your profile and tell you if I would date you or not, or if I think anybody else would date you. And it's usually the pictures.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so guys, pictures. What's one other thing that guys could improve about their online dating space?
Absolutely. There. What if you're looking at Facebook? If you want to keep your Facebook to where it's interesting to a woman, because she is going to check you out. Most likely, if she's smart at
Mm,
all, she's going to go look
mm,
at your Facebook. Whether you're swiping right on a Tinder or Match.com, whatever it is, she's going to want to go to your Facebook too. So your Facebook don't have all nothing but political stuff. Don't have all but the sports stuff. Don't have all of the sex and boobies and what you do to a woman and all that kind of nasty stuff all over your Facebook. If you think that, fine, let her find that out as she gets to know you. But if you want her to get to know you, don't have that on your Facebook. Those
mm,
are the two
mm.
things. Huge. Take care of manage your Facebook, because people are going to check you out, whether it be an employer or a potential date, and fix your pictures.
Is it okay to have a whole lot of stuff on your Facebook page about
It
podcasting?
is, because that is what your interest is, and it is not sports, and it is not political, and it is not just belittling women.
Okay, let's flip the coin on the other side then. What are women doing wrong on online dating apps?
Pictures. First and foremost,
Hmm.
they do
Same
way too
thing.
many of the Snapchatty like ears and face things and filtering. Quit filtering, ladies. Oh my gosh, men are filtering too, but more of the ladies. Quit filtering. And their bio. Oh my gosh, quit saying that you're looking for somebody that's, stable and this and that, and that you go hiking. And oh, I could just go on and on about what these ladies do on their. Okay, you don't go hiking. Just because you went for a walk with your dog a year ago does not make you a hiker. Don't say you're a
Yeah.
hiker. Don't go on and on about that your kids are your everything. And it's just, oh yeah. So the bios, for me, the bios and the filter Snapchatty type pictures for the women, and for the men, pictures in general, and what their Facebook page looks like.
The other one that I hear a lot of is about spirituality. Everybody thinks they're spiritual,
Oh,
and they might have read a book or something
oh
about
Lord.
spirituality, and they think they're all of a
Yeah.
sudden become a instant karmatic monk from
Yeah,
somewhere. Yeah.
they're all about eat, love, pray. Yeah, no, yeah, you got to quit that. So I haven't heard that one quite often. I'm gonna have to look at that and see what the ladies are doing on that, because that's just ridiculous. You're not spiritual. Stop that.
Okay, here's the next one. Traveling to meet someone internationally that I have been chatting to for a while, how long do you suggest I wait until I travel to go and meet her?
Uh, oh gosh, do research. Facebook stalker, Instagram stalker, if you can do both. And if
Yeah,
you can get that done in even a 3 week period, and you feel
yeah,
confident, and you've had outsiders look too, because they're going to see stuff that you haven't. You've got a skewed view. If you already want to go see her, you're probably not
yeah,
thinking clearly. Have a woman look at these Facebook and Instagrams and the chats that you have with her to see if anybody else sees those red flags. Men have a tendency to go too fast, so
right.
without looking thoroughly. Let somebody else look and then make that plan. And it could be as quick as 3 weeks, 2, 3 weeks, as long as you have
Okay,
thoroughly investigated.
okay. But in your case with the Englishman, you'd done that, right? You'd spent some time
Yeah.
chatting and all the rest of it, and you'd said, "Okay, come and visit
Yeah,
me."
he invited me to go
And
visit him,
then
but
the
I wouldn't
guys,
go. For whatever reason, I
mm,
knew this was not the one that I'm going to be the one flying for. I don't know why. I just
oh,
knew I
okay,
was not going to be the one
interesting.
flying.
Okay, cool. Next question. Do you think online dating has actually increased our chances of meeting the right partner?
Absolutely, yes.
Mm. It's a game of numbers in your view?
It is. It's not only a game of numbers; it's a game of opportunities. The
Mm.
choices, the opportunities. We have the ability to fly in trains, planes, and automobiles. We have the ability to investigate people. We have the ability to FaceTime. We have so much more in front of us than we ever did before. So it is a huge benefit if we use the tools right.
So when it comes to the world of dating today, as with a lot of other things in life, it's been turned upside down by social media. But generally, you would say, and what I'm hearing you say, is that it's given us this incredible opportunity to, get to know someone on the other side of the world, get to check out their life, get to check out who they really are before we make that ultimate commitment. If we talked about 50 or 60 years ago, this was impossible to do what we're doing now with the opportunity that we have. It would take you 3 months to get somewhere on a ship to go and visit
Yeah,
somebody,
and
right?
the snail mail that would happen and whatnot, to write the love letters back and forth, which is very romantic and you
Mm.
still can do. But no, you could not do what we're doing now. Heck no.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the next question I find really interesting. Can't remember who this came from actually. What are your rules around blocking someone online?
Ooh, I am a softie about this. Joe's always like, kind of like, why don't you just block them? Uh, I don't know why. I just give so many people opportunities and chances and whatnot, uh, to redeem themselves. So my rules about blocking, I don't have hard fast rules, but my soft rules would be, if you're foul in any way, if even if you're rude to me, I tend to want to figure out why, what happened. Did I cause this reaction? Was I part of it? Is there something else going on in your life that's very upsetting and I just became the target? So I'll give a lot of chances for that kind of thing, and then try to figure out, is there a way I can help? Okay, you got mad at me, so what? Let's figure out what's going on. Can I help? Whatever it is. Who wants somebody to be mad? I don't want them not only to be mad at me, but I don't want somebody mad or angry out in the world. Let me figure out what I can do to help. If I figure I can't help and I've spent enough time, I'll find that line where I say, okay, you're just being a jerk. That I've given you every opportunity to redeem yourself. You're blocked. Done.
Yeah. So in your case, there is a process. There's a I guess establishment of what the reasons are before you actually just go, okay, we're done
Right,
here.
right. I'll spend a
Yeah.
lot of time sometimes. I'll even try to FaceTime people. Like, hey, I don't think we're communicating
Mm,
very well through text. Is there any way, with chance, would you give me the opportunity to FaceTime with you?
yeah. Now, this next one comes from a very good friend of mine who's been online dating for a long, long time without much success. And she asks, do you think people should take a break from online dating from time to time?
It depends on the person, but in general, yes. Yes.
Mm.
You can
So
burn
it's
out.
good to
Yeah.
step away and just get away from it
Yeah,
for a
because
while, yeah?
while you're getting away, hopefully what you're doing is looking in the mirror, because all of this people that you're running into that are burning you out, that's making you frustrated and all that sort of stuff. You know what the common denominator is? You.
Yeah,
So stop
absolutely.
and check you. Look in the mirror. What's happening? What are you not seeing? What are you choosing not to look at before it ends up exhausting?
Such a great point because we're so quick as a human species to judge other people and to put people down and also to bring them into that I guess labyrinth of blaming them for the outcomes that are happening in any time of relationship or communication that we have. And as you've just rightly said, it all starts within. If we're putting that energy, that vibe out into
Yep,
the universe, that's what we can expect to get back,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
Mm. Okay, next one. Is it still possible? I love this one. Is it still possible to meet your soulmate offline? And if it is, how do we do it?
I absolutely believe you could meet your soulmate offline. And I think it's just the good old fashioned way where you might accidentally run into them somewhere. If not, then put yourself out there like I was and constantly telling other people to do. Go sit at a bar, have a chat with the bartender and the waitress and the hostess, just make friends and hang out. And the next thing you know, they're saying, hey, there's this great thing that's happening this weekend, this art show, this and that. Would you want to go? Heck yeah. Tell me when and where. Let's hook up on Facebook or Instagram so I can find you, after tonight and we'll go do that thing. And then now you're at that next event and you run into somebody that was just fabulous at this art show. It just happens. Life can just happen if you put yourself out there.
Do you think these dating apps have made people lazy when it comes to social interaction?
I don't think it's made them lazy, but I do think it's made them addicted.
Mm.
It's makes them where they don't leave the house as much, but because it's so addictive just to look and swipe, and when you hear that bing of that there's a match that somebody liked you too, it's very addictive. So you could sit there for hours swiping and listening and waiting for that ding, as well as
Mm.
the
Mm.
chats with no repercussions, that you can flirt and chat and lead people on again and again and again and again with no repercussions. So you instead of
Yeah.
going out and having repercussions from meeting people in person and saying and doing things that you would say in text but you're not going to say in person, it's kind of addictive.
My last question from the group today was a real doozy, actually. I don't know where this was coming from, but it's a very interesting one. I'm interested to know your answer to this. Um, it's got to do with one gentleman called the name of Harvey
Oh
Weinstein,
boy. Okay.
and the person asks here, do you think in the Harvey Weinstein situation that some of the women lied about their experiences with him?
I really don't know. I wouldn't say yes or no to that because I don't know. Do I think women lie about that sort of thing? Absolutely. Do I think they lie when somebody else like jump on the bandwagon, the train, because some all these other women are getting attention for this particular famous person happening? Could that happened? Most definitely. Um, I would not say they all lied, but I gotta say that there's, God, I hate saying this. I'm gonna get a lot of flack, but a lot of women lie about being
Mm.
raped, molested, harassed, that sort of thing. And it's
Yep.
because of the culture of Me Too, because of the culture of uh, insecurities in women, and we want men to feel bad for us, so it makes them feel like a protector. We have all kinds of reasons why we would do such things, but I think a lot of women do it. hate to say that. I'm not going to say majority, but I am going to say a lot. Harvey Weinstein, that's
I was
very
gonna,
specific. So do I think it happened? Absolutely.
yeah. You bring up another really good point, and I think in terms of how the whole evolution of our species is going, and I'm talking about the whole equality thing, and I'm a number one for letting women get more rights and more power and everything. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But I'm also very mindful of the fact of the impact it's having on men around the world. And I'm talking about men across all different levels, and I want to make it specific to what we're talking about today is the dating world, because I think it's creating a situation where men feel more and more vulnerable in that situation of meeting a woman and being, I guess, living up to an expectation that women now have got this power and they've got this position in society, which again, I'm going to reinforce, I totally agree with and believe in. But is it making men feel more insecure? And a lot of these men have a lot of insecurities in the beginning. They're still dealing with their drama from their mother from way back in their subconscious beliefs, and their paradigms haven't been shifted yet. So do you think this increase in women's presence around the world is having even more of an impact on men than what we're perhaps realizing?
Yes, also yes, but I also want to say that with the whole point you made about the men and trauma all the way back from childhood and whatnot, women are dealing with the same thing with father issues, and they're feeling the need to, stand up for themselves and take care of themselves and never need a man and all that kind of stuff. So, and I don't think that's bad on either side, that the women are doing well for themselves and don't need a man, and they have, I think all the rights that a man has right now. I don't believe we have equal pay, but I do believe we have all the other rights that a man has, and even more so if we got more detailed into other things. Women have more rights in certain circumstances. But for the man, what we've done is pretty much emasculate him, and it makes it very difficult. I'm sure the pendulum will swing and will even out and balance at some point again. But right now, we're at the swing where we've pushed men so far back, they don't want to approach us. They're afraid to. It could be harassment. We could just verbally lash out and be mean to them. We could accuse them of things if we go on a date and they're alone with us. There's just all kinds of fears that men could probably do, and you probably even should have concerns about dating, and how they can never live up to what a woman's expectations are nowadays for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that I do believe that it has happened to the men, and I don't blame them. It is just going to be a matter of time so that it will swing back to the middle. But it is definitely, I believe, in the women's favor right now for the whole dating thing.
So before we wrap up today, what's your number one piece of advice for somebody out there in the online dating scene right now today?
I would say risk discomfort, seek it. The only way that you're going to get out of doing what you're doing and it having any different result is be uncomfortable, do something uncomfortable, because you staying comfortable and dating in a comfortable way is not working for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Great way to end. Laura, it's a blast having you on my show, and because we've rushed through our time together again today, it's good news. We're going to have to get you back again sometime.
Okay,
but
I love it.
I got a couple of things to say before I let you
Okay.
go today, and the first one is thank you, because your transparency, your honesty, your willingness to share your personal, not only your personal journey, but your insights and everything else is fantastic. And I know that my listeners appreciate it. And that's why, well, it's another reason why you've come back on the show today. And I'm sure we want to hear more from you. So thank you very much for doing that. Secondly, I want to say that during every show, I offer my guests the opportunity to dedicate the show to someone special in their life. Yeah. And I'm going to take that out of your hands today, because I'm going to dedicate this show to Joe.
Absolutely. I turned his world upside down literally in this house. So yes, I agree.
You were going to nominate him anyway.
That's right.
So I think that without even thinking about it, this show is totally dedicated to Joe. And I tell you what, next time you come back on my show, I'd like you to bring Joe with you, because I
Oh
think we need to
gosh.
have a chat between the three of
Oh,
us. Yeah.
it's the arguing that's going to ensue, but I'm game. Let's do it.
Okay, so you have a chat to him about that. I'll put this one together and send it out there. And look, thank you very much for coming back on the Global Travel Channel
Sure. We'll
podcast
have
show.
you on our YouTube channel soon.
Love to. And we'll see you soon in America as well. Oscar and I are coming.
Alrighty then. Okay.
So we'll put Arizona on
Oh,
our
please
bucket list
do.
as far as our trips do. So take care tonight. Have a wonderful time, and thank you very much again for sharing everything that
Thanks
you
for
have.
having me.
You put travel together with love, and that's what happens. What an incredibly inspiring story, and I'm sure you will agree with me that in this day and age where we have so much gloom and doom going on around the world, isn't it great to hear a love story that's worked out like that? Laura and Joe, congratulations, well done. And Laura, thanks so much for coming on the show again and giving us an update on how the whole thing worked out. Now, before you all rush out there and start these long distance relationships, remember that traveling is going to change your life. It doesn't matter whether it's for or to fall in love. It's going to open your eyes to all sorts of incredible things around the world. If you want to hear more of the episodes on the Global Travel Channel, just head on over to the website at www.globaltravelchannel.com. You can download them also from places like iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and our Patreon page. If you enjoy our content and episodes like this, please tell somebody about it, either a friend, family member, or even a work colleague, about the Global Travel Channel podcast show. We're trying to get as many people around the world as we can to listen to all these inspiring guests. Okay, well, that's it for this particular episode. My name is Mark Philpott, and until we meet again next time, I wish you all a very happy and loving bon voyage.